Okay folks, this is a pretty good example of a healthy grapevine, a healthy muscadine. It's got a lot of growth on it, and what I'm going to be doing here is assessing it for the growth we want to keep and maintain and embellish, and then removing anything that's dead, diseased, or decayed, or showing signs of stress from the previous year's growing. A lot of the horizontal growth will be removed because we're looking to drive this up the stick, up the pole, whatever it is that y'all are using. We want to send it up to the top, and we want to send it left and right. Okay, so down at the bottom, it might be difficult for y'all to see, and I don't have a camera person with me today. I'll do the best I can, but there's some side growth right here. Okay, see if I can separate it all. Some side growth coming low from the trunk. We're going to remove all of this. There's some growth over here as well. It's low on the trunk. We're going to remove all of that. I'm going to cut as close to the trunk as I can, so I'm near the healing ring on the side of the trunk, and doing so without scarring the remainder of the trunk. I'll also be looking down below here to see if it looks like this might be making roots. If it is, I might consider removing it and then growing another one. And guess what, folks? It's got some roots. Okay, I'm going to leave this for now. And later on, what I'll do is I'll pull some of the chips back, and I'll very carefully remove it, and I'll coat the roots with root tone, and I'll put it in some soil, and maybe I'll give it away to somebody who's watching out there, or someone around here who needs it more than I do. In any event, we're going to run right up the trunk. Ultimately, in the end, we're looking to have a smooth trunk that goes all the way up to the top, cordon left on the low line, right on the low line, and then left on the high line and right on the high line. Each plant will be providing for essentially 40 feet of total cordon growth. So I should be able to get grapes off of 40 feet of cordons. I like that idea, and it worked really well up there. I'm going to put some pictures of what up there looks like and their development, and y'all get a better idea of what you can expect after a few years of pruning the way I'm describing. So here we go. Let's go on with it. We'll move on with it and take some of this other horizontal stuff off because it's not necessary. All of this off because it's not necessary. I don't really feel like I need to leave any of this low stuff because it's just too low to do anybody any good. The plant is already fairly well advanced, and I've got more than one potential for primary options and secondary options. There's more coming down the trunk, but I don't need any of them. So actually the one that draws my attention the most is this one here, because that could be a whole other plant. Anybody want a plant? Okay, so we're going to go right up, take those off. What I'm going to do is leave sort of a little muffin top. But I do want to make sure that this vine knows what I want for it to do is to grow up and then sideways. We're going to start right about here with our tapener. Wrap it close, staple it good. And keep that spin on. I'm going to put another one here. Spider getting on me. We're going to keep on going. Because there's a little sort of a dog leg in this, I'm going to tape it here. Again. I'm going to stand. Spin it one more time. And tape it here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the camera and show y'all what everything looks like, if I can, up against the tree, vine. We can kind of keep giving it a little bit more pressure to find better places to tape. Anything we can do to keep it in place while it's becoming established is a good thing. What a great find. Ha! Sometimes we win around here, folks. And, okay, so we need something here because that looks a little wonky. Yeah, caught me. Creedon was left-handed. Okay. Like I said before, as these just get established, I'll be removing these little pieces of tape. Okay, so I have one more opportunity to look. There's my secondary right there. That's going to get attached. I'm going to remove this. Just not necessary. And I think I'm going to take this one off too. I'm kind of on a roll. And I'm going to leave that. There is going to be another line going here somewhere, and at some point we're going to want cordones there, but I'm mainly after providing for the top cordon because the lower line is also going to have some leaky pipe on it so that I can irrigate close to the base of the plant when we're in drought conditions. But nevertheless, I do tend to bind them. Keeps the wind from blowing them all over the place and weakening it. I've got a little bit of growth right here. I'm going to clip it back. And what will happen is it'll send out these little tendrils that will wrap around this, ultimately holding it to the pole. And once it's fairly secure in place, some of the other problems that come about having a loose plant go away. In particular, when the wind hits these things and they come free of this, we have animals that are passing through here all the time. They're constantly running. The dog, they can run into it and they can mess with it and possibly break it. So my impression is keep it close to the pole and you're going to keep it safe. If you start letting it get wily, you run the risk of ending up with a broken trunk and you have to start all over again with some low growth. So we found that it works best to use the tapener when you have it. If you don't have a tapener, there's alternates. You can use twist ties, you can use zip ties, you can use string, you know, any kind of cordage that's fairly gentle. You just kind of, you don't want it to be so tight that it's constrictive or it hurts the plant. These aren't that tight. They can be tighter, but they really don't need to be. We're just trying to give this plant the opportunity to go straight up towards the top lines, and that's it. I'll come back and I'm going to take that off, but for now, it's safe. Let's have a look at another one if we can. Maybe we can find one that isn't so advanced. How about this one here, folks? I mentioned that freeze that we had, and it messed up a couple of plants. Well, this one is actually a transplant. Let's see if I can get you set up. And yes, we are going to go back and take a quick look, because this is only going to take a second. Okay, so this baby was replaced because what was here originally died. It got frozen out. It wasn't advanced enough. And now we actually have 1, 2, and 3 potentials. I don't need 3 potentials, okay? So the one that's lowest, I've inspected, there's no root growth. You might say, hey, if you're going to cut it down there in the soil, is there a chance that it can become infected? Yeah, there's always a chance. My plants are healthy, my soil is healthy, and it's going to get compost tea applied to it soon. So the lowest one comes off to the healing ring. That sits off to the side. That one right there is potentially a backup in the event that we do get a late frost and we have some other problems, but it does have a little dead tip on it. I'm going to go ahead and cut it right back to another node. It's out there. They're going to get spiraled and bound. I mean, really, folks, is that not a handy tool? Even its top is a little bit dried out and stressed. I probably won't get a lot of top growth. It'll probably end up being side growth on this plant that gets retrained, reselected again at the next pruning time. But because it's very immature, we're not going to push it really hard. Also got the chips away enough so that I can get my compost heat over the entire plant. Alright, now I'm going to take you off the stand, I'm going to bring you in closer and y'all can look. Even cut that off. Now, they're fairly clean. I mean, start it out that way. There's that small root cut down there at the bottom. You can see it's got a little green face on it. And it's secondary trunk. We are keeping a secondary trunk. Everything else is pretty much just cut back. Alright, let's go over there and have a look at the other one. So this one, similar situation. Primary and a secondary. Plant doesn't go up at half the height of the pipe, not even really, but it will. Spiral around, taped often. Didn't make any really low cuts on this one. Let's go our way over there to the one that has that little volunteer on the bottom. Okay. So right in there, I'm going to show you the root. That's a sideways root that's on this, connected to that baby right there. So I can likely separate this and create more nursery stock with it. Alright, there's a low cut right there. We'll be careful to make sure we get some compost tea on that. Spiral up and around, all the sucker growth has been removed. This one is significantly taller. Primary and secondary going up. And then all the way up to the top. The tip is not great. It looks as though it's gotten frozen out. You can see how that snapped off. So in this particular case, and in all honesty, look folks, there's the top line. In all honesty, I'm going to cut that back to that bud right there. Okay, shears in hand. Just cut that just above. I probably got it a little closer if I had two hands, but since I'm holding the camera, it is what it is. It's fine though, it really is. I think this is the tallest one that I pruned today. And that's it, folks. I mean, we kept what could become secondary trunks, or we kept what could become lower line cordones. Either way, if something happens to this particular plant, it has a better chance of surviving the last cold month of my year here, or I should say, before the spring hits. Nothing like getting a little late frost. And that's pretty much it. Okay, y'all have any questions, make sure you put them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. Quick reminder, we are in Zone 9B. This is Piedmont, North Carolina. The soil is wood chip based, composting in place. The roots are in a little bit of the red clay below because I knew that was a potential aquifer for them to dip into. Like I said, it is a low zone. We planted this way, and if I just pick you up just a little bit, you'll see the setting sun is heading over there and to the west. So it's sort of north-south facing the garden anyway, and the plants will get lighted on the front and they'll get lighted on the back. Okay, so if you liked it, go ahead and show me by clicking the like. If you learned something, go ahead and tell me. If you didn't learn something, say, hey Creedmoor, you're nuts. Either way, I appreciate you as always. Thanks for watching.